I was like, oh, and I blame Phil Spencer. We have done everything better than Sony. We must innovate. Yeah, top for the whole generation. And welcome back to Leo Gaming, guys. Today I am going to be discussing my thoughts and opinions on what I think Xbox can do better than PlayStation going forward. Not better than PC, but better than PlayStation going forward. What is it that they can improve in the future in order to maintain this level of trajectory that Xbox is heading in at the moment? Because at the end of the day, Game Pass is brilliant, but it will only go so far until you have to introduce something else to compete. Because Sony are going to come out with something eventually, so Xbox have to, keep innovating as they always. That common word of innovate. We must innovate going forward. And also, but first, I'm going to discuss my 1 year review of Xbox Series X, as I did get it on day one. It's quite funny, guys. Well, what a lot of people forget is when it first came out, as I remember when I ordered it, I queued up to get my pre-order in on the day the pre-orders. I queued up at the shop. I'm just one of these old school. I feel like I can't do it online. I feel like if I do it online, I'm going to lose it somehow. Like, it's weird. So I like to physically go in. So I physically went into a game shop local to me at the time. Queued up, I was like luckily in the queue, and there was like one geezer was trying to slide in, going, "Oh, this is my mate over here." Yeah, all right, mate. Well, mate, get out, get to the back, all right? There's only a limited supply. Get to the back. And me and this other geezer were like a couple of old grannies. Get to the back, mate. There's something, no one pushing in here. So anyway, we got in, managed to order Series X, slammed down that deposit, bang, it was mine. And I picked it up on day one. I think a lot of people forgot about that you could still physically go into a shop and pre-order. A lot of people were still doing the online stuff, and I've just never really been comfortable with that. I buy stuff online, but I mean, pre-orders with something like that, I want to go physically to the shop. Remember the day I picked it up, big queue, still going outside. When I picked it up from the shop, but because it was during the pandemic, they put the table at the shop front, and then you just went there with your seat and they took it out from the shop. The shop weren't open. They opened specifically just to give the Xboxes to the people that pre-ordered. And obviously, because it was on a busy high street, I made sure I slipped it under my coat, did a runner back to my car, because of the situation. You sort of have this fear that you're going to get mugged. So I thought, fucking, I'm just darting back to the car, caressed it in the passenger seat, put its seatbelt on, and away I went back home. So going forward, I made sure that as soon as I got in, my love affair with Xbox originated from the 360. I had a 360, then I had the Xbox One. The Xbox One did have a piss poor start, but then Game Pass came in, and I really got into Game Pass. And to be honest, when Game Pass first introduced, I ignored it. I was like, I was like a Sony fanboy now. Game Pass, I buy my games. Thank you very much. That was my attitude. That was my attitude towards Game Pass when it first launched. I actually genuinely was like that. I was like, no, I pay for my games. And I was very much still a disc person. Like, I always said to myself when I first had the Xbox One and Game Pass was out, I'm still buying discs. I will never, ever buy digitally. Lo and behold, all my games are digital now. I bought this recently, Max Payne 3. Because the digital version, obviously they just made this back compact, so the digital version is 17 quid. This is the only reason why I will buy this now, is because the original version is 17 quid, whereas this was a £5. From Kex, or CEX, or Sex, however you want to pronounce it. So it's, it was, but eventually when I really started buying digital when I got the Series X. And then obviously started buying my games digitally. And Game Pass was a big draw. Because my son as well, it was financially more viable for me to use Game Pass and start being able to let my son, you know, download a load of kids game, bang, let him go on it. And I ain't got to spend more than, at the time, 12 quid a month. It was brilliant. I was like, this is a fantastic service. Obviously, then they started bundling AAA games on there. And since the Series X, it's just only got better. So Game Pass, for me, was an absolutely banging deal. And it soon changed my mentality. And I didn't really go out and buy discs anymore. So it was very sort of, you know, it sort of switched my mind. And I was always against digital. Always against digital. I still am in a sense, because I still have this fear that I've got all my games. I look at how I've got 120 games on my list, my digital list. And I sort of look at it and I think, that could just be erased like that by anybody, really. If Xbox wanted to, erase everyone's purchases, bang, gone. Do you see what I mean? That's my fear. It's like, which it can, that could happen. Hackers could hack in and erase everybody's purchases if they really wanted to. If they could. I don't know if they could or not. You know, so it's one of those situations, and I sort of just then switched to digital. It's weird. It's a weird sort of situation, isn't it? You know, when you're sort of against something, then slowly you find yourself doing it, and it's like very clever gaming industry. You turned my head. You know, and then obviously the games have come out. We had Microsoft Flight Simulator, which I absolutely loved and thought it was fantastic. I was a flight sim enthusiast anyway. Well, no, that's a lie, actually. I was a flight sim enthusiast back in 1998, 99, when we had Flight Unlimited by Looking Glass Aviation, or the studio Looking Glass back in the day, and I had Flight Unlimited 1, 2 and 3, and I absolutely loved them. Flight Simulator was shit back then, I'll be honest with you. But then Looking Glass went under, or got bought, I think. So then, you know, Looking Glass did have Seamus Blackley, one of the original Xbox founders. So Seamus Blackley he did the Flight Unlimited series. He created the physics engine in Flight Unlimited. And obviously, I then moved, so with the Xbox, obviously Flight Simulator, fantastic game, brilliant graphics, technical marvel. The games are just constantly being updated and added. Then you've got, then obviously we had Forza recently, we've had Psychonauts 2. There are a few issues with the Xbox Series X upon launch. It does every now and then tend to do this weird thing where when you move the controller stick on the UI, it sort of, it takes a bit of a delay, there's a bit of a lag to it. It's weird, it still does it now. And I remember the first time, sorry, a little bit of a burp there. It's because I'm breathing in air as I'm talking. And I just found that the Xbox Series X has been a fantastic console. I do remember, obviously, this is evidence that no game up until a certain point has pushed the Xbox Series X to its limit, because up until then, games were optimized. Then when I put Flight Simulator in and FIFA 22, suddenly my Xbox was making a noise. The fans were kicking in. I was like, what's going on? Well, it's breaking, you know, but it weren't. It was just obviously nothing had pushed it to its limit until Flight Simulator and FIFA 22. More than FIFA 22, I noticed it. Suddenly the fans going, so what the fuck is that? What's that noise? And it was the Xbox. I thought it was my fridge. It was the Xbox, and I was like, oh, what? It's breaking. It's not. It's just been pushed now. It's been you know, pushed to its limit a bit more. And I sort of, you know, it went on from there. Then we've had Forza, and we've had all various games and exciting news. Xbox to me this year has just been a constant bundle of exciting news. And I must say, my 1 year experience has been fantastic. One thing I didn't know though, I didn't realise, is the UI was 1080p and not 4K. I did not realise that. I only realised that when What Culture Gaming did a video on YouTube discussing that, is it Scott Halford, did a conversation about how Microsoft should have had that already done on day one. And I didn't even clock. I was like, I didn't even realise. And I was like, oh yeah, really? Now they have. Obviously, it's been rolled out, but that is something they should definitely have made sure was 4K, is the UI. It's such a basic thing to have in 4K. I don't understand why that wasn't. But that is something they should have made sure that was done. And obviously they just recently announced the back compat, which is absolutely fantastic for the Xbox. Back compat, although I'm a bit miffed, because Fear 1, you have to have the disc. Phil Spencer, what is going on? Fear 1, you have to have the disc. And I had it a few months ago. But I sold it because I didn't think it was ever going to go back compat. I was fuming, now I can't find it. When they announced it, I was dashing out to all the second-hand shops trying to find it, and I couldn't find it. I checked online, it's bumped up in price now, 40, 50, 60, see for 80 quid. One person trying to flog it. I was like, oh, and I blame Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer, you should have called me. Hey, Chris, keep hold of your Fear discs. Especially Fear 1, because we're going to make it back compat, but you won't be able to download Fear 1 on the store. So keep your disc, Chris. All right, Phil, cheers for letting me know, mate. We'll go for a beer later, yeah? Love ya. See you later, mate. Keep doing great at Xbox. That's what should have happened. But no. So the back compat list is absolutely fantastic, guys, for the Xbox. I absolutely love it. Back compat. Obviously, there's still a lot of games that aren't, but you can only go down that route so far. So now, moving on to what Xbox could do better than PlayStation 5 going forward. Now, the biggest gripe with me with Xbox is third-person action-adventure games similar to Uncharted or Horizon Forbidden West. That is what Xbox need. Xbox this generation could produce some third-person action-adventure games. Then I think we would be, top for the whole generation. We won't stay top continuing with just Game Pass. He needs to add some third-person action-adventure games. Now there was some good news recently. Compulsion Games, who made We Happy Few. Is it them? Well, I think Compulsion Games who made We Happy Few. They're creating a third-person action-adventure fantasy game, which I'm excited. A story-driven action, which is what Xbox needs to combat Uncharted, The Last of Us, and games like that. That's what Xbox need to really, really be this generation's top dog, in my eyes. Until we do that, Game Pass will slowly, the novelty of Game Pass will fizzle as the generation goes on, especially when PS5 start releasing their first-party titles next year. Yes, we are having first-party titles, but they're all sort of RPG games. They're just RPG games. All of them, pretty much. RPG or racing games. Starfield, Fable, over in a few years. Fallout, Elder Scrolls 6, all RPGs, aren't they? So we do need some third-person action-adventure games. At Xbox, if you're listening, third-person action-adventures. Was Indiana Jones, that Indiana Jones tease, was that Xbox exclusive or was that for both consoles? I can't remember. I cannot remember. Someone leave a comment and let me know on that one because I can't remember. For some reason, I had in my head it was an Xbox exclusive, but I don't think it is. But yes, that is the main gripe with me that Xbox could do better going forward, is a third-person action-adventure. Because I've had to resort to playing Tomb Raider. I love them, they're great games, but for me to get my fix of like Uncharted, I have to play Tomb Raider. I have to play third-party games in order to get that single-player, story-driven adventure. I mean, this is why I'm going to buy a PS5 eventually, because I want to play those games. I don't play Destiny, I don't play Halo. They don't play Halo! What have you got an Xbox for then? No, I've never been a Halo fan, ever. I've not played the first, second, not played any of them. Because I'm not an online multiplayer person. I don't play online multiplayer games. I can't get to grips with them. A lot of people are gonna hate that, but that is just me. I cannot get to grips with online multiplayers. Drives me insane. Whether it's because I'm old school and I'm used to single player, but that's just me. Anyway, so you know, I have to play games like Tomb Raider, and I really want some first-party, third-person action adventure games. That is such a tongue twister for Xbox that we can say. So hopefully, Compulsion Games does make a good game. I'm not too keen on fantasy. Why does everything have to go down the fantasy route? I mean, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit were brilliant films, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't mean everything has to be fantasy. I mean, fantasy took off and it hasn't stopped. Everything has to be fantasy. Elden Ring, Avowed. Like, yes, they're going to be good games and I will play them, but I'm not a fantasy fan. I'm a realism fan. I like the realistic games, which is why I did used to love Uncharted and on PS1, on PS3. So I did have a PlayStation 3 as well as an Xbox 360. So yes, there is one massive improvement. If we can do that, Xbox, we can go up to the top, beat Xbox. PlayStation will end up being the next Sega. Oh, that's nah, it won't be. It won't be. It never will be. But you know, that is my yearly thought on Xbox thus far, and what Xbox can do to improve. That is the main thing. There are a few other little things that what I don't agree with is this is really miffing me. It really does miff me off. Is this talk of in a couple of years they're going to bring out the next sort of line of consoles with improved tech underneath. That fumes me. Why am I spending 500 quid, 400 quid on that when 3 years later they're going to bring out a better version? Sorry, that just miffs, that really insults. I hate that. That mid-generation, you need to give it 5 years before 4 or 5 years, not 2 or 3 years. And you're on a chip shortage anyway. So PlayStation's, Xbox talking about the next one. No. Don't do that because that miffs me right off, especially when you've just bought that. So that really pisses me off. It's something that I just think takes the piss because you're taking the piss out of the ones that have managed to get the Series X. You're basically saying to them, yeah, you got that first, but because you got that first, we're going to give other people the opportunity to buy a better one. Yeah, I can trade that in, but it's still an extra cost. Do you see what I mean? That I have to put on top of that to trade it in. And it's just an unnecessary thing. In my head, it's an unnecessary thing. 5 years, yeah, do the mid-gen upgrade, where you sort of 3 years off of the end of the generation. But not after 2 or 3 years. It's a joke. That's ridiculous. Sony and Xbox both shouldn't do that. So, but in terms of Xbox, as thus far, I do feel that it's been a fantastic year for Xbox, and I do feel that so far we have done everything better than Sony, than PlayStation. Hence the word everything on the screen, on the thumbnail, because it is, Xbox have done, me personally, I've done better. No, I did everything, no, I didn't really. But, we have done better than Sony and PlayStation in every aspect. There's nothing that PlayStation has done. Even Sony fanboys, you must admit, there is nothing that PlayStation has done that is better than Xbox. Which is a fact. I mean, leave in the comments, not silly comments like Ratchet and Clank, Returnal. They're just games. I'm talking about everything. Consumerism, the pro-consumer, the anti-consumer, the console itself, everything entwined. There is nothing that PlayStation has done better. So, guys, that is my 1 year review of Xbox / what can Xbox do better than the PlayStation going forward. If you do like my content, I will have some more Sony Pony salt coming, guys. It is thick and fast. It's very hard to collect data on Sony Pony salt because it's so much of it. You go on Twitter and it's like, I don't know where to start. Where do I start, sort of thing. So, guys, if you do like my content, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Actually, it's down below the little screen you're watching YouTube on. And also, check out my, what was my previous video, my GTA San Andreas review / I can't stand Rockstar at the moment because they're a greedy corporation. I will actually be doing a video on the gaming industry as a whole and where we're going, especially with this Activision thing, Rockstar, and just the greediness that the gaming industry has become. So anyway, guys, love you all. See you later. Have a good day, week, month, or even your year. Love you all. Bye-bye.